There's quite an epiphany around teenagers not knowing what to do with their lives or what career to follow up in their next years. And as a teenager myself, I've been through roles where I doubted if my choice is right or not. So, that being said, what are some advices you could use so you know what you want to do as a university degree or as a career? Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to the Premed Journal. I'm Maria, your host, and I'm a 17-year-old premed who documents her journey towards medicine. So if you like this video or any other of mine, you can subscribe and like. It would help me very much. And in this video, we're talking about how to figure out what career suits you best or what university degree you should follow. As this podcast is called the Premed Journal, I have an idea of what I want to do, but along my way I had many doubts or I thought about many careers I should follow until I came up with medicine. So I did this introduction. I kind of always knew, I always liked medicine and I always liked the human body. My problem was I doubted myself. I thought about engineering, I thought about law as well, but I always come back to medicine. So in this video I'm gonna give you all some advice so you can orient yourselves. So why it's so excruciating? As a 17-year-old, and I think the generation that is in high school, like 2008, 2009, 2007, we're kind of lost in what should I do, because life gets real. It's not like some pretty fantasy with unicorns. No, this is life, and the year that comes, we're gonna be in university, we're gonna be seniors, we're going to graduate, and everything it's more tangible now. So we're like, oh my god, I have to decide what I do in my life at 17 and 18 years old, and that puts you in a pressure that I cannot even describe. It's like, okay, I'm still a child and everyone around me treats me as a child but also as an adult. So it's kind of what? Until your 30s, I don't think you're going to know for sure where you're gonna end up in life, and you're never going to know what you're going to end up doing in life. So, for example, I had a talk with a woman who studied medicine, but she ended up doing research in Barcelona about photons and light electrons and stuff. So she told me that she discovered she liked research and she liked working in a lab when she went to New York to work, and she discovered that she doesn't actually want to work as a doctor and she wants to work in research, and that's completely fine. So, focusing on teenagers now, there are two different people who are really confused about what they should do with their lives, and these are the teenagers that don't really have passions and the teenagers that have too many passions. And I'm gonna discuss this problem for both of the situations, and I'm going to start with teenagers who don't have passions. So for your guys, my advice would be self-discovery, right? So maybe you're too caught up in your life and you may say, what do you mean, am I caught up in my life? Well, life can feel like a race. In my perspective, life is just like, I have school, I have training, I have my friends, I want to go to that party, I want to hang out there, I want to see my friends, I want to video chat, I want to do this, I want to see my boyfriend, I want to go to school. I have tests, I have due dates, I have everything. So when everything is so oversaturated, you start to feel like in a race. You start to feel like life doesn't give you a break to just sit down. And most of the times it's because you're too caught up in this, doing that, doing this, being with that person, being with that person, also being with my friends. See what my friends like, seeing what my boyfriends like, but not seeing what I like to do. I'm not in my thoughts, I'm not in my feelings, I'm not sinking in with my soul. And here comes the problem, because when you're so caught up in other people's life and in this race, you forget about your soul and what you actually like and your identity. And this is actually really important. Your identity and your personality indicates what you're going to do in life, or if not, it's a big indicator of what you may like to do in life. So my advice here is to calm down. Calm down, silence everyone around you, try to keep up with work, because sometimes you have to keep up with stuff, but calm down, rest, and be in your own head. Maybe try to be alone for sometimes if you feel like your friends and other people around you are a distraction, and just rest, okay? Calm yourself up from that race and calm up your environment. And then once you have your brain calm down, you're going to search up opportunities, right? Because here we're self-discovering and we need to know what we like to do and what we don't like to do. So I will say to start searching opportunities. How do I search opportunities? Well, you can straight up go to Google and search your country, your city, and what you want to do. Research labs, you can go to museums, you can start courses. Guys, literally Harvard, Coursera, MIT, and many other famous universities have free courses on a lot of different topics. Humanities, political science, religion, technology, everything, and most of them are free. Everything. Also, you may interest this in your school. So for example, my school has a lot of these courses, so where they put you in working opportunities, or they may give you a lab to do shadowing and stuff. So you may ask your tutor or your head teacher. They may know something about it. You can also try to sign up for different sports. Personally, a sport I like but I did not try it is badminton, so you may like that. You can also do paintings, read, like different stuff to cultivate your knowledge. And also a super underrated advice is to speak with people you don't know. So for example, students, go to a uni, or if you go to a uni and try to ask students what their vision is, or try to ask professor about the uni they took, and try to speak with person that don't know you personally. Because if you speak with friends about their passion or whatever, they're going to influence you in some way. This is my opinion. So for example, if my friend wants to study law and I don't know what I want to study, maybe she will influence me in going into law because she's my friend. Or the contrary, maybe she doesn't want me to study law because she has this vision about me that maybe is not true. So she will influence me into not studying law. But if you talk with someone that doesn't know you personally, and maybe you also don't know them personally, they're going to have a more objective perspective on this. So maybe they're going to tell you the advantage, the disadvantage, maybe how work is, maybe how uni is. So try to speak with people about that. Then after you did all this research, my advice is to have insight on yourself. How do you have insight on yourself? So after you did the course, spoke with people, do your sport, do your research, and the stuff I mentioned earlier, you're going to journal about the hobbies that you explored. What you like, what you don't like. Do you see this as a career, or is it just a hobby? So try to do these insight questions and journal about them. Also, I feel like a really underrated practice for insight is meditation. So basically when you meditate, you calm your brain up. So your brain, when you meditate, is more clearer to take on decisions and think in a more peaceful way. So meditating could also help you to clear your mind and try to decide on what career or what uni you want to study later on. Okay, now in the second category of people are people who have too many passions. And there's nothing wrong in having too many passions, but sometimes can be confusing, and I find myself in this flock of people. So my advice here would be to see all your passions and to start envisioning. What do I mean by that? I mean, envision what career could you have from each of your passions or each of your interests, and envision if you could really bear it. I mean, if you could really work in that context, even in days where you feel awful and you don't want to do anything. So basically, a career is waking up in a day, like in my vision, a career is choosing something that when you wake up awful and you don't want to do anything, you will prefer to do the career that you chose to follow. So it's not that unbearable. So try to envision it, try to think what you will bear to do even when you feel down, and then see what ambit you can choose. So different ambits of careers may be sport, arts, science, technology, religion, humanities, political or social sciences. So you can choose one, or you can, if you cannot choose just one, you can see if, like, for example, if you have two that you like very much and you don't want to choose between them, you can search up careers that combines both of them. What do I mean by that? So for example, if you're between humanities and science, for example, that was my case. I really like writing, but I also like science very much. So, for example, a job that combines both of that is a science periodist. So basically, a science periodist goes to doctors and scientists and keeps updated the world over new science discoveries. So basically, you write, but also are in contact with the world of science. Or other careers. Let's say you cannot choose between science and sports. Physiotherapy is actually a career for that. So maybe you will help. So maybe you'll help sports persons to recover from their injuries. So that combines the two ambits. Or technology and science. There are careers such as biotechnology or bioengineering that combines these two ambits. And you can search it up and see what fits for you. If you cannot choose just one, but if you want to choose just one, you can search up the careers in that ambit and what calls up to you and what you think you would like. You may have it in mind. Identify what is a hobby and what is a potential career, because for example, I mentioned before that I like writing and science. For me, writing, I figured out that it's just a hobby. I don't see myself writing every day of my life. Or, like, I see myself in the world of science and in the world of research, but I don't see myself writing creative, like, narrative stories or something like that. Maybe my life would later on include that, but that is not the point. I don't see myself studying an ambit of writing. I don't see myself doing periodism, or I don't see myself doing law. I see myself researching or doing something science-based. So try to figure out which are just hobbies that you will not like to study or do every day, and which are potential careers that the idea of you working in for that hobby or that interest every day of your life. Then you can talk to adults. Here, friends and their parents are a really good option. So professors, parents of your friends, students, I don't know if I mentioned that, students, or even strangers on the internet. Maybe you know scientists, you can DM them. Like, you know, right now with social media, like, you have endless opportunities. Maybe you follow a scientist that you interest in their career. You can comment their videos to do a video about their university degrees, and maybe they will do one. You never know. So you can talk with adults or students older than you to give you a feedback on what they're studying or what they're working. And final my final advice would, if you can, try to put yourself into working context. What do I mean by that? For example, let's see you figure out that you like to do something in science. Now, science is a really big ambit. So you can try to do shadowing for a doctor, you can try to volunteer on an ambulance, you can try to work for the Red Cross, you can try to do maybe microscopy in your high school lab, because that can be done in a high school lab. For me, for example, I really like to do labs in my school. It's like, for most of my classmates, they don't like to stay in a lab, but I like it very much. That's what I mean, that people around you may influence, because I don't think all my classmates and my friends don't like to stay on a chair and look at a microscope, but I like it really much. So it doesn't matter that they don't like it, because I do. So that kind of gives me an idea with what I would like to do further on. So if you can get hired in a place that is related to the university degree or job that you wanna follow up, you can also get hired. But again, shadowing, volunteering, they're all like, try to put yourself in a context, because even if you don't get in touch with that world, you will not know for 100% if you like it or not. Okay, so that was the video. If you have any suggestions, you can write below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!